instead don't. Why? Because now you have a commodification of that pain. When does it cross the line from reporting to exploitation? Because let's be clear, it is a commodification. Somebody is making money out of those images. And it's not the families that are affected by whatever is going on. Who benefits from all of this? When grief, raw, unprocessed grief of this nature takes place and it becomes content, who does it serve? I mean, one's heart breaks for these families. But I can't help but answer, but ask, are there more dignified ways in which we can be telling the stories? And in particular, the stories of black pain in moments of tragedy, in a cycle of 24-hour news cycles where there's immediacy, where there's a need for content. And let's not ignore that there is a contrast, there is a difference. Let's not deny that difference exists. That's part of the conversation that I would like us to have on the open line this morning. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Specs and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
With Outsurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied Outsurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could Outsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute. Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Mane comes back in field. Tries to strike from distance. Tolo! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, you're listening to The Open Line. It's your national roundtable. I'm taking your calls on 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Tula, you're in Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Well, thank you, Tula. What do you want to talk about this morning?
Well, I just want to contribute on the issue of what happened yesterday on that accident scene.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's very unfortunate, and for lack of a better term, I would say some people have no morals, no manners. I'm talking about 2 kinds of people, some journalists and some just the general public. Can somebody imagine for 1 second, it's your child lying there, lifeless, you're taking photos. It's your child lying there, lifeless, in a deformed state, and somebody comes to ask you, how are you feeling? What has happened to us? What has happened to our morals, honestly? It also happens if you can say some politics. Somebody's mourning at a graveyard. They want to bring political issues. What has happened to us Africans, honestly? That's what I wanted to ask. Can at least each and every one of us ask ourselves that question? Somebody has lost a child. He's trying to, not even trying, they're in shock, and come and ask them, how are you feeling? Honestly. Like, are we really serious? Thank you.
I hear you, Tula, and I guess part of it also needs us to go back and reflect on why this behavior, why we find it appropriate, right? Why? Because if you, I don't know, but if I've just heard that my child has died in this horrific manner, by all means, and please understand me, I speak as a journalist, I speak as somebody who would be, on these accident sites. But I remember us having a number of conversations, and it was actually Angelo Fick, researcher Angelo Fick, who one day made such a compelling case about this idea of black pain. And it was about how, sometimes in TV we talk about what is called a money shot, right? So that's the shot of the day that you must get. And when it comes to tragedy, the money shot more often than not involves a black woman who is just in distraught and is just in so much pain. And, it was for the first time that I had to think about this idea of black pain and also contend with its commodification. And that for me was a turning point, because I thought, well, if I'm doing a story, actually I'm going to be intentional about with the camera person that I'm with, about how it is we tell the story while still preserving the dignity of the people whose story we say that we are telling.
I think the other thing is, one would be doing his or her job, but first of all, before the job, one doing her job or his job, we should realize that we are human beings, and the situation that person is right now, we should at least give those people space to handle or realize what has just happened. It's just like, for a second, just ask yourself, if you receive that call, your daughter or your son, or the vehicle your daughter was in or your son has been involved in an accident, will you be able to answer? Even if it's somebody asking you, where are you going, you won't be able to answer that question because you'll be in a state of shock. Now imagine yourself, or you are on the scene, you are looking at that lifeless body. Would you answer a question? Would somebody be thinking of how they are feeling, honestly?
Yeah. All right, Tula, thanks for that contribution.
Thank you.
Mr. Bonginkosi Madigizela, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Cathy, and compliments of the season. And,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling
just two
in.
Things. You're welcome. Two things quickly. I was actually touched by your opening remarks, and that is why I thought, let me call. The worst question you can ask someone who just lost his or her loved one is, how do you feel? I always find this question very, very disturbing. If you're a journalist, you can at least say condolences or we are sorry for your loss. But to ask a question who has just lost someone, what? How do you think that person feels? It's just a strange question. So I'm glad you spoke about this, because really every time I hear a journalist asking this question to someone who's grieving, I just get so puzzled. And the last point I want to make, Cathy, is that until there are serious consequences for breaking, the road traffic laws, we will always have this conversation. even this new, demerit system that has been introduced through ARTO, it's not going to work if people are not scared of breaking the law because the consequences are not severe. And that's the real issue here. Every time we spoke about the statistics of people who have been caught, drinking and driving, but those people are not in jail, Cathy. I mean, we talk about them as if they are caught, they are in jail, because really, breaking laws on our roads is just treated as a petty crime. It's not high on the priority list, and I think that's the problem.
Absolutely, and a moment like this then presents in and of itself an opportunity to bring so much greater accountability into some of these conversations, right? But part of the concern is that we move from that spectacle onto the next, right? So we never get to a point where we see through the accountability. We leave it hanging until the next accident, and it almost becomes just this repetitive cycle.
It's a problem in general in our country, Cathy. I mean, people are not afraid to break laws anymore because, our justice system, does not bite. And what we are seeing before that ad hoc committee and the Mazanga Commission is really very, very disturbing picture of what we are as a country. If police officers are complicit and are part of the criminal syndicate, that,
Okay.
I'm just lost for words.
Okay. All right. Let's leave it there. Bongi Kosimatikizela there. We'll take a quick break. Actually, we'll take you over to the news desk, and then I'm back with more of your calls.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, 6 people have been gunned down in separate incidents in Cape Town. Police spokesperson Andre Trout says the motive for the incidents is unclear. Learners and staff at Al Shaddai Christian School in Vanderbijl Park are receiving counselling this morning after 4 learners from the school died in a tragic scholar transport crash yesterday. Police have opened a case of culpable homicide following the collision between a minibus taxi and a truck. And Kurdish-led SDF forces in northern Syria have accused Damascus-affiliated armed groups of responsibility for the release of 1,500 IS militants from prison. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Hey South Africa, want to keep your lights on and save money? Let's use electricity wisely. It's easier than you think. Switch off lights when you leave a room, unplug chargers and appliances, and use energy-saving bulbs. They last longer and use less power. Every little bit helps. For your home, your wallet, and our planet.
Let's make it a habit and use electricity wisely. Eskom.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
Mzansi Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Cathy, I'm not amazed if I hear this driver who made this major accident killing the scholars is age of 23 years. So because most of our children, they driving like this. So they insult us, they do wrong things, you can't correct them. But I think we have to make the driving subject be a theory at schools, maybe grade 9 and 8 only, then to let or to reduce all these things. Tusi from Inanda, bye.
Good morning, Cathy. And speaking of black pain, I'm reminded of how the so-called death of Marcus Yuste was managed, quote unquote, by the main players in the media versus any other death of a similar magnitude. Quite interesting.
Good morning, SAFM. Good morning, Cathy, and all the listeners. Cathy, you know, it's a very tragic story about the car accident, but your question about black pain and why it belongs to everybody else. It's because the black person, the black child, has always belonged to everybody else. The black child and the black family have never had respect from society and from humans in general. So our grief is entertainment. It has always been since a long, long time. So that has been normalized in this society as well, that black grief is part of entertainment. That's just how the world perceives black people, as subhuman. So that is why it is so easy for the world to disrespect black humans. Separate from Poch.
Good morning, guys. Look, man, Captain. Cathy, black pain has been enjoyed by the black society for decades. Especially black pain has been enjoyed by black politicians for more than 30 years. Enjoyed meaning they are reaping the benefit from black pain, black floods, black killings, black tragedies. They use that as a photo ceremony. Use that as to confuse black people. I mean, this is not a white thing. I mean, we're talking here about black on black. Why did the black government allow this? Why wasn't there private demands given to black people? I mean, it's black journalists interviewing black people. We as black people must look introspect and look to ourselves before we blame anybody else. It was allowed. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for those voice notes and the insights that you're sharing on part of our conversation this morning. Andile, you're calling us from George. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
You know, Cathy, this thing is not about black pain. It's about making money. And sometimes
Andile, I'm going to ask you to speak a bit louder because the line to you is a bit distorted. I'm not hearing you very clearly. Try again.
Okay. This thing is sometimes about making money. It's about the institutions of journalism that make money. Sometimes it's about highlighting something that is a problem. And this thing is, when something is a problem, it gets highlighted. Sometimes it gets to the right authorities and they make amendments to whatever law needs to be made. You understand? Because sometimes we have black families that have spokespersons, like when something tragic happens, when the journalists come into that space and people will say, no, we'd like you to respect our privacy and whatever. And they speak over a spokesperson for the family. It's not like journalists come and invade their space and there's no control over what is happening. Because sometimes there are people there, they are put by the family to be there to just say, people, please don't harass the family because the family is still going through pain or this type of grief, and send out the spokesperson for that person. And for the most part, white people don't have like transport like we do, like minibus, taxi transport. You could go to any other school where it's white. Mostly people that are there take their own children to school. So we can't emphasize this thing as there's some type of wrong that these journalists are doing. These journalists are doing their job.
And Andile, it's not so much wrong as it is about, does it help to preserve somebody's dignity, or does it in some ways undermine someone's dignity? And that was the question that I was left with when watching some of those visuals. And I grappled with it, which is why I decided, maybe let me put this out to the rest of the community to see how other people view it, and did it leave others with a similar feeling to what it did me?
No, I was just thinking. Sometimes it's not about the let's say everyone wants someone to have a debate when something like this happens. It's fine. And we process grief differently. And I respect that. The thing is, when something like this happens, half of the time, the people that are in these tragic incidents are black. It's just that we are majority in South Africa. And these things happen on a daily basis, and we can't change it. And these other journalists are doing their job.
Okay. All right. Andile in George, thanks for that perspective. Let me go to Les in the Western Cape. Good morning, Les.
Hi, Cathy. How are you? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First, what I want, the lawlessness here in South Africa is caused by our leaders. If I can check, the president has got all powers. Maybe to declare the state of emergency where it's necessary. Where is it necessary? Unlike maybe to declare a state of emergency to where maybe there's some flooding and whatsoever. Okay, that thing is all right. But we don't have a leader here, maybe who can make South Africa for the South Africans. Like Trump would say, America for the Americans. So our president is very, very reluctant to take the decision here in South Africa as a representative, as a leader of South Africa. And then imagine if we can have a leader who is persuasive, cohesive, and then and maybe charismatic to take the decision. We should have a state here that work very effectively. The second thing is we have got the popcorn parties. The popcorn parties, those parties that are mushrooming from another party, from the ANC, from the DA, those mushroom parties, they are influencing lawlessness here in South Africa. If you can check, I've got Dean George moved from the DA, resigned. There's Maimane, Mashaba, Dilele, Balintuli, Kumzo Fantame, and everything. Kumaramulipo, all those people, despite that we've got a Bill of Rights and then the political rights here in South Africa, but they are not united to make one thing. Even if maybe they can blame that the DA is a racist, but why they are not united here in this case. The third thing is the justice system here in South Africa. Okay? The president has got the powers for the justice system here in South Africa, maybe to appoint a public protector, on people to replace Shamla Badoy and everything, something like that. But those powers that they have, they make it in a patriotism, because most of the people that are elected there in the justice system, they are very much in favor. When they work in favor of the president. I wish if that maybe something public protector, national processing authority, maybe was appointed by the opposition party, maybe opposition party who appoint people maybe too, because the justice system should have worked maybe horizontally. Right now, the justice system here in South Africa is not working horizontally; it's working vertically, because there are
Okay, let's leave it there. I think you've made your point. Johnny, you're in Durban. Good morning.
Morning, Cathy. How are you?
Well, Johnny, go for it.
Okay, Cathy, I've got a similar problem. I live in Queenie in Durban, okay? And I actually live in a one-way road. Where continuous drivers, young, old, corporation, Queenie, Metro Police, ambulance, college transport, whatever, come down. I came home now to my workshop to fetch something in my workshop, and a DSW truck came, big truck, one way up the road, and another normal, obviously a civilian coming up the road. Now the only thing we're going to do this, and there's a problem because we're going to sharp turn out of our building, and you turn, you don't look the right way because you used to from the one way, you look up there because the cars come one way, but they come the opposite way, they don't always look, and we just miss each other every day, every time you leave home. So that's lawlessness and obviously no enforcement from our authorities. But we're going to have to do something like a name and shame, especially corporate companies. People, there's college township coming through every day because people don't want to drive around the block. They take shortcuts, they're obviously making money, and they got the deadline and whatever. But you guys attached from like SAFM, like South Africa, we all get together. It's not happening in Teguini, it's happening in all our cities in Durban, in Cape Town, in wherever. Okay, right now it's happening. Because there's a culture you've got now, nobody obeys the law. That's one of the many rules of skipping over. I'm on the road all the day, I run different sites and whatever.
And Johnny...
But there's my issue. It's like we can't as a layman because we haven't got power. But I mean, social media is like SAM, like a Facebook page. These are all the people in Tequini that actually did something wrong the last 2 days. The police got their name, take pictures, send it to them. Anybody can become a civilian care of what's happening or like really worried. I mean, that's how we should do this. We're not going to resolve this problem by talking on radio every day. We can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Johnny, I just wanted to understand from how you've described the road, right? So, yes, it's a sharp turn. If people are not paying attention, then, they're very close calls. Would a widening of that road happen? Is there something that can be done from an infrastructure point of view that will reduce the probability
Cathy,
of accidents?
I understand it. I understand what you're saying, but there's no money. There's so many other pressing problems that we have in South Africa, Queenie, all over South Africa. That widening a road isn't cheap. I know what you understand what I'm trying to say. That type of contact, that's the rules of the road. It's like any other rules in the road, you're supposed to abide by. They give you they issue a license, you're supposed to abide by the rules of South African roads. That is my issue. We're not because the law enforcement is not there to do it. As a citizen should make our roads, excuse me, a week, because my vehicles are insured, but I come out there, the guy that actually hit me, like somebody hit me on another issue before, and they didn't pay the excess. I paid my own excesses.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing, but according to me, the only way we can get past it is we socially get involved and give the evidence to authorities and say, guys, I mean, Teguini can make a bag full of money putting an officer here every time, every day, and find people. That's it.
Sure.
And it will stop. But it can't stop by just talking on a radio about it. Somebody's got to put a Facebook page and take pictures, and we all get involved in safeguarding our suburb, our area, our roads, everywhere in South Africa.
Yeah. Johnny?
And there's many such problems. Skipping over, jumping over. Hey, that's deadly stuff. I see it every day I travel.
I don't know why it is that more and more South Africans just...
Even the older folks, my friends have come along the road, along up the road, Even my older friends have come up the wrong road. I'm in my 50s, 60s. They're now breaking the law.
Sure. Okay.
And they've been driving for 30, 40 years.
So it's the culture. It's a culture.
It's a culture. It's like a deadly, but it's a deadly culture. It's a very deadly culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Because look what happened to those kids now. 23-year-old driver. How much experiences he got for driving?
Johnny, thanks for weighing in on the National Roundtable this morning. We'll pause it there, take a quick break. I'm back with more of your calls. Remember the number to dial 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
Hey, want to check your TV license balance conveniently? Look no further. Our SMS service allows you to do just that. By sending a message containing your ID or TV license number to 44210, you can quickly access your balance without needing multiple inquiries or waiting on hold. Plus, standard SMS rates apply. Take advantage of this efficient method to stay informed and streamline your payment process today. T's and C's apply.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you Commission Live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we continue the conversation on the talking point. It is your National Roundtable. The number to dial for this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. And you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages on 0614 104 107. Ben, good morning. You're in Soweto.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call, Cathy, on the round table. Cathy, I'm very much disturbed and very angry with regards to the accident that happened. If you remember me, Cathy, I told you I'm a truck driver by profession, 23 years of experience. I have been in trucks that are facing oncoming traffic that is being overtaken by what we can now call an idiot. And I've seen the reaction of guys I'm with for the fact that we are right, we are on the right, and he's overtaking. And the reaction you could see, people are not prepared to back down. I've been in cars or trucks that are being overtaken by a person who's overtaking the rest of us, and because we are on the right. Now, I'm saying all of this when I'm making because I feel now that accident, especially if it had happened at night, I would understand in my case. The fact that it happened during the day, I feel that other than this 23-year-old person we now called a reckless driver, we now call a reckless driver an idiot in other words, there were 4 more drivers in the case during broad daylight, 4 more drivers, 3 of whom were being overtaken, 1 who was driving a truck. Now, because the 3 were being overtaken, and there are also, I don't know the merits of the case, I didn't hear everything well, but I could hear everyone say 3 to 4 cars were being overtaken, and they stopped to testify. Now, my question is, what do we do then when this person we can see, hey, he's forcing to overtake the 3, the 4 of us, but we are on the right, and we can see it looks like he won't manage. You see, then there's this other fourth driver who drives the truck. He comes over, he sees that one won't manage to finish, but because I am on the right, now let me park it there for a while. My point is, one of the trainings we once got was defensive driving. Other than the advanced driving one, there's what is called defensive driving. In your usual license acquiring process, you'll be told that when you are being overtaken, you don't accelerate. That is normal. People sometimes won't accelerate, sometimes people would accelerate. But then in defensive driving, if the three of us are being overtaken by an idiot, and I am driving a truck coming on the oncoming side, and I can see that one, and we can see that the combi with precious cargo. None I feel that the four of them could have done something better if they were matured enough and not, I don't know what state of mind, but my plea as I close is it's a call to all the community and drivers to say, I personally, I have seen, especially in December time, combis and buses, rushing for whatever reasons. But in defensive driving, I was taught in order to avoid an accident, as he overtakes on the barrier line towards an uphill for which over which we all cannot see. The best thing for me to do, I would slow down, even if it means to a dead end, for an idiot to finish doing what he's doing quickly to save the lives of the people. I rest my case then. I'm so disturbed in there because I feel the three drivers who have been overtaken, including coming to trucks as well. In those years, those years you would hit a kudu. There were no cameras before. You see, you would hit a kudu, and then when you tell the boss I hit a kudu, he would say no. You would fall asleep. Let me put it this way: you would fall asleep and veer off the road, only to come and say to the boss, no, I saw a kudu and I veered off the road. And they would tell you must hit that kudu so that we can have evidence. Now that there's cameras, and if you look at that road, I suspect it's around the R59, as they say, it's Val. You can see on the sides. It's clear, man. It's not like it's hills where you will fall. And in a truck, you can hit as much as you like. You won't do nothing to me. I know that guy is not hurt.
Okay,
so what I'm saying,
Ben.
It comes and overtakes three trucks, and
let's leave it there. I mean, I can understand why you're quite passionate about it. We're also losing you on the line, but I think you've made the point, and especially as somebody who's got so much experience applying those defensive driving mechanisms, it's really key. And Ben is right. Sometimes when you see somebody being reckless, you've got to move out of the way. Give them space to continue doing what they're doing, but try to safeguard yourself and other motorists around you. Don't add to the chaos that is potentially unfolding. Brian, you're in Cape Town. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and to your listeners. Look, I just want to make a comment. I obviously didn't witness the accident and who's to blame and etc. But, when the Tory first broke the news on SABC TV, the presenter, the lady said that the accident involving a minibus, taxi, and a truck. And every news bulletin since then, they omitted the word taxi, minibus taxi after that. Now, you see, I'm not passing judgment on who was at fault here, but see, as long as we bury our head in the sand about certain issues, we're never going to solve this problem. And the other problem is that, this will go on. It's not going to end here, because if this government fails, and especially the previous government, who granted these millions of licenses, etc., don't take action, this will continue. All we're hearing is theories and speculation, but no action is taken. Once again, no consequences. That's about all I have to say at this point. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thanks for that contribution. And I think the moment here is about accountability. In what ways does this moment push us to accountability, to demanding greater accountability? I haven't noticed that the reporting on it has omitted the word minibus taxi or the words minibus taxi. I haven't necessarily seen that. And Brian, I don't know that it has necessarily been intentional, especially because obviously with the visuals, people can see that it's a minibus taxi. But I hear the point that you're making, that either way, we have to confront the elephant in the room, because this accident feeds into a broader culture of what we have allowed and even what we have enabled in our society. Somebody else wants to agree with the comments that Ben gave around defensive driving and the role that we each have when we're on the road, asking similar questions about those other drivers and what they did that also contributed either positively or negatively to the situation. And it just means that when we're on the road, each of us has to take responsibility, not only for ourselves, but I think also for the other people that are driving alongside us on the road. You know, it doesn't kill sometimes to let the guy go. If he wants to come in, let him come in. If he wants to overtake, let him overtake. Hey, just that patience, maybe grace, maybe defensive driving, as Ben has put it so eloquently this morning. It's 10 o'clock, time for the latest news.
In our top stories, 6 people killed in Cape Town shooting and Scholar transport crash, death toll revised. Good morning. 6 people have been gunned down in separate incidents in Cape Town. Police spokesperson Andre Trout says officers responded to a report in Ndabeni where they found 4 people dead inside an informal dwelling. The motive for the incident is unclear. He says in a separate incident, 2 men were killed and 2 others wounded in a suspected gang-related shooting near the cemetery in Kensington. Trout says no arrests have been made.
The South African Police Service in the Western Cape strongly condemns the senseless and brutal acts of violence that claimed 4 lives in Maitland and 2 lives in Kensington during separate shooting incidents in the early hours of this morning. Our detectives are working tirelessly, following up on every lead to identify and apprehend those responsible. SAPS will not tolerate this level of violence and will pursue the perpetrators relentlessly with the full might of the law until they are brought to justice.
In another development, a police officer has been shot dead in Brown's Farm on the Cape Flats. Police spokesperson Novella Potelwa says the 48-year-old officer sustained fatal gunshot wounds to the upper body and died at the scene. She says detectives from the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation have launched a probe into the incident. She says the motive for the shooting is under investigation and no arrests have been made.
Members of the South African Police Service Rapid Rail Unit in the Western Cape are reeling in shock after the murder of their colleague in Browns Farm. Reports from the scene indicate that the 48-year-old off-duty sergeant was shot in Ubuntu Street by 2 suspects who later fled.
The death toll from the tragic Scholar transport crash involving a minibus taxi and a truck in Vanderbijl Park yesterday has been revised to 12. Gauteng Health and Wellness MEC Nomantunkomo Ralioko has moved to correct misinformation surrounding the tragedy. Following reports that the death toll had increased, the MEC has dismissed claims that more learners have died.
We wish to address and dispel the unverified reports suggesting that the number of fatalities from Vanderbijl learner transport accident has risen to 14. Would like to reiterate that the confirmed number of learners who tragically lost their lives and were collected from the scene remains at 12 as reported yesterday. While moments of crisis can often lead to speculation, the spread of unconfirmed figures and misinformation is causing unnecessary harm.
Further afield and finally, Kurdish-led SDF forces in northern Syria have accused Damascus-affiliated armed groups of responsibility for the release of 1,500 IS militants from prison. The inmates are reported to have escaped as the Syrian army took control of the city during clashes with Kurdish forces. The BBC's Sebastian Usher has the details.
The SDF said that one of those prisons was attacked, that when that happened, prisoners were able to escape. So essentially giving a sense that their control was being taken away from them by groups which were not necessarily, controlled government forces. Now, the government has responded by saying that's not the case, but it's actually the SDF which allowed some of these prisoners to escape, and now they're trying to track them down.
Recapping the top stories, 6 people have been gunned down in separate incidents in Cape Town. Police spokesperson Andre Trout says the motive for the incidents is unclear. For SAFM News, I'm Anne Musa.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children. But I do love learning. Ndiyakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School. Because I do love my future. Apply online before the 26th of January.
Babila Noko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half, while Ezimnyama Ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Betway Premiership. Nisekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.7 FM in Cape Town. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays 9 a.m. till midday.
6 after 10 o'clock, welcome to the second hour of The Talking Point. Coming up in this hour, we're talking finance with Brian Hurst, who's walked into studio looking young and fresh and ready for 2020.
What about handsome?
Oh yes, young, fresh and handsome.
Okay.
Looking young, fresh and handsome. So we'll be getting into finance shortly. Before we do, lots of your WhatsApp voice notes are from the open line talking about different issues. So we'll take a couple of those. It'll lead us into our finance segment.
Good morning, Cathy. I feel we as Black people, we need to do better. We have ourselves to blame. It was only us yesterday on that scene, nobody else. So we basically took away the dignity from our pain. Look at our funerals, no dignity whatsoever. From the undertakers all the way through to the whole service. The cherry on top are the after tears. So we've got nobody else to blame. We must just do better.
Morning, Sis Cathy and SAFM listeners. Sis Cathy, look, I think black pain in this country has really become a money-making scheme for the so-called content creators, organizations like Your Moja Love. Look, those people, they thrive in their businesses by exploiting black pain. And no one seems to be taking these people to account for what they are doing. It's like we have just accepted it has become a norm. Thank you. Alex in Bedford View.
Morning, Cathy and the SAFM listeners. Phones have destroyed our society. Instead of experiencing moments, we are merely documenting them. Narcissistic culture has diminished our social connection. The constant presence of cameras has eroded privacy, and every moment is subject to public consumption. This has to come to an end. I thank you. Matt Morano, Leboago.
Morning, Katie. Children have been dying in this school transport, and the government is afraid of the taxi industry. I suggest we must put ST, like a driver who's a learner, where we put L, so that those using roads must be careful when they see ST. Regarding police, Lieutenant General Kumalo said 90% of Gauteng police are corrupt. So who is going to control crime? We are naked. This country is in scrapyard. Thank you, Kathy.
Hi, good morning, Katie, and your producer and all the listeners of SAFM. Katie, I like to say condolence to that families who lost children, innocent children, young kids. I don't know what I must say, Katie, but this thing is very painful, like seriously. I so wish God can protect those families. I know it's very painful. And if that driver like really is wrong, they must face the consequences, because I don't know why he was overtaking, and also I don't know why he was rash. This thing is painful. That is my concerns here from Cape Town. Thank you.
In a world of noise, one thing is still clear. Akwele. Introducing the new, still flavored range from Akwele. Lemon mint, mango passion fruit, blueberry raspberry, peach apricot. Still made from Akwele's 100% natural spring water. Delicious, high in vitamins, low in kilojoules, and still full of joy. It's new, it's refreshing, it's flavored, it's still Akwele.
As the nation seeks answers, SAFM brings you live, uninterrupted coverage of Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. You can also stay up to date with the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System. Stay informed, stay connected. Tune in live on SAFM 104 to 107 and follow the coverage across our digital platforms live on Facebook, X and YouTube at SAFM Radio. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Mzansi Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner, who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube and X at SAFM Radio.
Talking Finance with Brian Hirsch, making sense of your finance.
Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide, Brian Hirsch. Where did you think that how long and how far did you think absconding was going to get you?
Absconding from the station?
Yes, absconding from the studio.
From the studio? Well, been in touch all the time. Something amazingly, I didn't even realize I'm driving. I never listen to my program because I'm on air, and I'm driving in Plet, and suddenly I hear one of my programs that was pre-recorded from about 18 months ago.
You must have nearly fallen off your chair.
It was so funny to hear myself talking.
And what do you think? Do you like yourself on radio?
I do enjoy it. I mean, this is my 33rd. 33rd. Yeah.
That's a whole human, Brian.
Hey?
A human that has now probably got a number of degrees.
Yeah.
might have a family, but like literally kicked out of the house and not welcome back under any circumstances.
So if anyone has missed my program and they want 33 years of tapes, we've got it online. We can let you have it. And if you've got nothing to do for the next 10 weekends.
I think it will take probably more than just 10 weekends. Brian, I know you were back last week, but welcome back because we're seeing each other for the first time in 2026. So before we get into our subject for today, you do want to give feedback on an issue raised by a caller last week. If you can just run us through what the issue was.
Yeah, well, the caller said that they've had a bond. They've got nothing on the bond. They want to cancel the bond, and the bank wants to charge him 5,000 Rand for cancelling a bond. So remember, when your bond comes to the end, you have the option of keeping the bond open. I like to keep a bond open because you never may know when you may need to use it again, particularly if it's an access bond. But I did speak to two banks. I spoke to Nedbank and I spoke to FNB, and Nedbank says regarding the caller's situation is indeed standard practice for bond cancellation attorneys to charge a fee of around about 5,000 Rand when formally cancelling a bond and returning the title deed. This is considered a cancellation, is managed by the conveyancing attorney and is not a charge from the bank. That was Nedbank's answer. And FNB, and thank you to both Sherwin and Andre at the two banks, they said below is correct and standard. That's the plus minus cost of the attorney to cancel the bonds at the deed office. The cost is not for the bank, but the attorney that handles the bond. So there is a bond cancellation fee. Just also remember, if you don't have a bond, please in your life file that I've spoken about, please make a record where are the title deeds being held, because if the bond hasn't been cancelled, it may still be with the bank. And just make, we've spoken about the life file, keeping all your records. One of those of you don't have your title deeds in that life file in the event of your death for your family, please make a note where the actual title deeds are kept.
Brian, one of the things I always ask myself about is the attorney fees that are associated with the purchase of a property. And, I know that you're not a legal guy, but why do you have to pay so much to process the transaction? Why can't I do it myself? If I'm somebody who is dedicated, I can read for meaning, I have the capacity and the wherewithal to follow up on this process. No, don't look at me like that. Because it is so expensive. And just the cost, by the way, the cost associated with purchasing a property, that upfront cost, is often what makes it as inaccessible as it is.
Yeah, particularly when you think about it, if you're taking a bond and you're putting a smaller deposit down,
yes,
then you've got two sets of fees. The first is you've got transfer duty, and anything above 1.3 million, you start paying at high rates for transfer duties. And then you've got legal costs, because a legal person has to register the bond. You can't do it on your own. You do need some legal support. There's also a lot of other issues about finding details. Are there any previous loans on the property that haven't been settled, and all the other documents that go with it. So when you say, and it's like winding up an estate in the event of death, you can wind up an estate, but it's very laborious, a lot of documentation. And let me tell you, when you submit something to the master's office or to have the transfer done, if you leave out one document, out it comes, and then there's delays. So yes, you are paying for it, but at least you're getting the experience of someone who knows how to do it and knows the ins and outs of the things that can go wrong. But transfer fees are an enormous amount, and it does, and that's got all these, as you say, all these fees have to be paid up front. So if you've got 200,000 Rand and you want to put that down as a deposit, out of that 200,000 may be coming 25 to 35,000 because of the fees that you have to pay up front.
But don't you think we should be given the option?
It's all about, I don't think so. I think you've got to leave it to the professionals. I know you say I'm a person that knows what to do, but there are always these nuances, all the issues that come about that you don't always think about. There are experienced people. Not everyone can do it, will register the sale of a property. There are people that have experts in their offices, or they deal with an attorney that deals with transferring. They'll get it through quicker and sooner and everything for you.
Look, and it's not that I don't understand their role and its efficiency, but I'm just saying it's becoming more and more expensive. And that in and of itself it's a barrier. Because unless you have the deposit, even if the bank can give you approval for your bond, as long as you don't have that deposit, that 70,000 rand, that 110,000 rand that comes as an upfront cost, then it means that you actually can't buy a property.
Cathy, let me say this to you. The world, since COVID and since we came off the grey list, everything is becoming more complicated. And there are professionals in every field that understand what needs to be done. And I use one for example, managing a trust. It used to be so simple in South Africa. We certainly circumvented all the laws globally when it came to trusts. Trusts internationally are run correctly. As a matter of fact, the minute you hand over your assets and put it into a trust, you actually give over to the trustees to manage the assets. And anything you want to do, you have to ask the trustees, are they prepared to do it? And they will make a decision. In South Africa, we played games, the same ways we played games with tax. Those loopholes have all been closed up now, and you've got to understand with compliance and regulations and all the things that go with the Financial Action Task Force, the FICA, the Financial Intelligence Centre Act, FASE, the Financial Advisory Intermediary Services Act. Let me say this to you, the Master's Office, what you're doing when it comes to winding up a state. There are experts that know the way round to get over it. If you're going to do it yourself, you're probably going to leave out a few things that are needed, and everything's going to take that much longer.
This morning, Brian, our theme is understanding the meaning of risk.
Yeah.
That's a scary word.
Well, I've used that word before because the word, we talk about financial advisors and portfolio managers talk to their clients to explain risk. And clients hear the word, but they don't ever believe that there is any risk involved in making long-term investments. So let me just divide that into two areas. Many individuals who need income and they want it to be certain cannot afford to take any risks, and that's why they use banks and financial institutions who will pay them an interest rate. Yes, you may pay tax on that interest, but they'll make it certain and you have no risk whatsoever. Stick always to the big branded organizations, the big banks and those things. But when you're looking for growth, everyone says, yes, there is risk, but I'm hoping I don't get involved. And I've just looked at it. I mean, going back to, we've now had 5 years of returns following COVID. 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25. Those 5 years. And during that 5-year period, during the year themselves, there have been times that when you're looking for growth, there's been negative growth. In other words, negative growth is the risk you're taking, and negative growth means the value of your capital is going down. In 2021, when we came to the end of COVID, it was a very good year because no one was working, if you remember those periods, and the markets had a good year. 22, the markets were down 22%. That means if you'd invested 100,000 Rand at the beginning of 22 in a growth investment, came the 31st of December 2022, that 100,000 was down at 78,000 Rand. 4 years later, that 100,000 is now at around about 160,000. Been phenomenal. But at that point in time, last year, the market started off very well, and then you had Liberation Day on the 2nd of April when Trump announced all the tariffs. And if you'd invested 100,000 on the 1st of January last year in a growth asset, by the come end of March, your 100,000 will be worth 110,000, doing nicely. By the end of April, your investment was down at 87,000 Rand because of what happened. That investment, come the end of the year, is now worth 120. So you've done exceptionally well in that growth asset, but during that period, and that's the risk you take. I've always said in terms of using a mnemonic that the word growth and risk have very important letters. If you want to grow your capital that's the G, and you want to create wealth, that's the W. The R of that word is risk. The T is you need time, and the H means you need to hold through the difficult times, not to panic. And the majority of people who have lost money, they've lost because they've panicked at the wrong time. But the word risk goes a bit further, the letter R. The letter R, as I said, stands for risk, and I stands for, are you looking for immediate returns? Because if you're looking for immediate returns, you want certainty and security. Keep your money in the bank. If your time horizon is short, if you tell me that I've got a 2-year time horizon, you can't get involved in the markets because you could end up losing money. And the S stands for the securities that you're going to be buying. That's what we call the growth assets. You buy property, you buy equities, you take on security. But the most important letter of all that word growth and risk is the N, knowledge. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Ask your financial planner to explain risk. Understand and ask them to explain risk in terms of numbers. Because you say markets go up, markets go down, you've got a long-term time horizon. Show numbers. Ask them to show you what has happened if you'd invested this money and there had been downturns. Because if you have knowledge and you understand, you will hold those investments through difficult times. I mean, markets at the moment are really high. We're waiting for fourth quarter results, particularly in America, to see what's happened. We've seen, on the one hand, the gold price and platinum price moving up enormously. There are a lot of stocks that have done absolutely nothing for the last year and a half. But markets can come back. And if you're investing, when I talk about 5 years, don't tell me I've been in the market for 5 years now, I've seen my 5 years. You've got to be looking ahead. The next 5 years, you've got to understand, has your investment strategy changed? And the reason I'm saying has it changed is because of the word risk. Because you need to understand markets are not a straight line up and down. Otherwise, everyone would be in the market. Markets have those ups and downs. And just you've got to ride those ups and downs through through time. It's not about timing the market, it's about the time in the market, and you have to hold. Those who have held, people who have held, you take a guy like Warren Buffett, who's in his 90s, who's held throughout the years, he's made absolutely enormous returns because what he's done, he's bought quality, but he knows that sometimes the markets don't accept that the company you've bought or you invested in. We've seen Apple come down, we've seen Amazon come down. We've now seen the gold market run enormously in gold shares. Don't think there's not danger. We've seen Bitcoin have its ups and downs. Bitcoin is also at the moment off about 25% from its high. People were rushing in when it was high. Understand you are taking risk when markets are high, but if you've got a long-term time horizon, you can afford that risk and not worry. And the big danger is watching the value of your portfolio on a regular basis. Talk before you start looking at your portfolio. Meet with your financial advisor. Let them explain to you what has happened, because there's a lot happening at the moment. I don't even know. You know, the whole economic world is turned around now on what Trump does. I mean, what he did in Venezuela, what he's doing now in Greenland. You've got the story in Iran. You've got so much still happening everywhere else in the world. You've got wars in Africa. You've got wars in the Middle East. You know, Ukraine. Just carry. Who knows? The markets are not pricing in any geopolitical risk. The markets just keep going up. There is risk. And because the markets have had such a big run, the risk is greater. So my lesson is, would I enter the market now? Yes, I would, but I'd phase money in. I wouldn't if I'm going to put a lump sum in the market, I'd rather phase it in over the next 6 to 9 months, which means I'd rather invest the money monthly and let it then take into account if there are any fluctuations. If I'm in the market and I've got a 5-year time horizon, just evaluate where you are and what you invested. If you're only in gold, I'm telling you, you've had a phenomenal run. Like everything else, there's no such thing as straight line in investing. It's straight line with certain fluctuations, which are the down, which is the risk I'm referring to.
Brian, what do we need to understand about risk assessments? Because sometimes, you know, you can take a risk assessment test that gives a financial advisor sort of a view on how much risk you're able to take on. Maybe help us also understand and frame our own risk appetite from what comes out of those assessments.
Well, very, very simply, as you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the ABC of investing, you've got a triangle and you just put line through the triangle, two lines saying the top segment is A, which stands for aggressive, the second segment is balanced, and the third is conservative. Within that triangle, there's another 3 triangles, because you can be aggressive conservatively, you can be aggressive balanced, or aggressive. Going into a lot of technology means you are taking on a lot more risk. You can be balanced, balanced aggressive, balanced conservative, which means in a balanced portfolio you can still modify some of your risks. And in the conservative, I mean, to give you an example, people who went into government bonds, government retail bonds last year, their portfolio, although it was conservative, it was very conservative going into government bonds, because government bonds paid such a good return, 11.25%. They're now paying government retail bonds for 5 years, 8.25%. That's a big difference if you're looking for income. And you could, by holding your money, I think that was aggressive, because you knew interest rates were going to come down, and now you've left with a situation where money market accounts are paying 6-7%, whereas they're paying 9.5% to 10%. So you can be in either one. Just assess what you're trying to achieve, and you made the point, can you do it on your own? I don't think you can do it on your own, because I tell you why, because emotions come into it. And when you're working with a financial advisor, at least they can be a little bit more objective rather than subjective, and take you through and work out, so that you have knowledge, because knowledge empowers.
We're going to continue our conversation with Brian, and I want to ask about risk assessment and understanding our own risk appetite from the context of some of the platforms that we use. People invest in Forex so easily, but then do we make a link between that and risk, and fully understand what risk we are taking in those moments? So we're going to continue the conversation with Brian. For now, let me hand you over to the news desk.
Thank you, Cathy. On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good morning. The Gauteng Department of Education says one of the learners who died in the tragic scholar transport crash in Vanderbilt Park yesterday has still not been identified. 12 learners lost their lives after the minibus taxi they were travelling in collided with a truck. 7 people have been gunned down overnight in 3 separate incidents in Cape Town. One of the victims was an off-duty police officer shot and killed in Browns Farm near Philippi. And Free State Police have arrested 2 suspects following the brutal attack and kidnapping of a 72-year-old female farmer in Balfontein. A full update for us, the top of the hour.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 16 rand 37 to the dollar, 22 rand 06 to the pound, and 19 rand 14 to the euro. Markets in Asia were lower at the closing bell. The JSE is mixed during mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe have extended losses. Gold is trading at $4,719. Platinum at $2,389 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $63.67 a barrel.
Sanibonani dumelang absheni lochani Mzansi igama lam nguzanele untomdodwa uzinhluzalza, but you can simply call me Uzanele Mthombeni. I am your new host, Khona yi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves, celebrities. I'm talking wena actor, musician, bona, politician, benekant zonke bonke zikhona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk. Talking Finance with Brian Hirsch, making sense of your finance.
All right, we continue talking finance with Brian Hirsch, and I'll be taking your calls for Brian. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial, 086 000 2032, and on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. And the conversation we're having today is understanding the meaning of risk, but also understanding your own risk appetite, being clear about what it is that you need for the future when you are making that investment. And before I build on this point, Brian, I want to go back to where I left things off as we went to news around people understanding their own risk, but then also investing sort of in your forex schemes and all of these other vehicles, online platforms that come up from time to time, where we don't have certainty about what it is that we're investing in. But what we know is that we need this money to provide some kind of an income for us over the long term. How do we begin to bring connection between what we need, which informs our risk appetite, versus what we are actually doing with our money, and if there's sort of congruency between all of those elements?
Well, Cathy, I'll summarize, because you said the two words. You said income we need. With income, you don't take risk. You want certainty and security, and you stick to investments that provide you with income. Yeah, those that went in last year to government retail bonds have done exceptionally well on a 5-year basis. They locked in 11.25%. Obviously, interest is taxable, so you've got to understand your taxable situation. And when you're looking for income, your problem with your capital is you're not going to beat inflation. After tax and after the interest you earn, with rising costs, inflation, the secret of investing for long-term growth to achieve what is your risk, your main concern is to beat inflation. And it's your inflation. Everyone has a different level of inflation. If you've got a large portion of your capital or large part of your monthly take-home pay, and you've got bonds and you've got money that you're paying off a car where you've got debt, car finance, as interest rates come down, that's a credit to you in terms of how much money you can make. Interest rates have come down 1.5% in the last 2 years. That means you're making very big savings, certainly anything you've got debt on. So that is very important in terms of going forward but when you're looking at managing, and you're right, risk and return is relative. Not everyone's going to, that's why I spoke about the ABC of investing, and I'm not talking about saving now, is the words aggressive, balanced and conservative. So you can be very conservative. You can say, I'm trying to achieve 2 to 3% above inflation. Give me a portfolio in a model that will give me that over a 5-year period. Or, and I'm keep saying 5 years, because when you're looking for growth, you've got to take into account the ups and downs. And if you're saying I want a little bit more return, then you're going to be a little bit more growth orientated. So your growth orientation depends on how much risk you're going to take and how much you need. And the big caveat there is time. If you've got time on your side, if someone tells me I'm 51 years old, I'm retiring in 14 years' time, they can certainly be more aggressive in their approach in terms of, they are governed by Regulation 28, which says how much can you invest offshore, how much you can. But the longer your time horizon, young children who we're looking to provide education for them, university education, 12, 14, 15 years, you can go into tax-free savings. But tax-free savings is purely the name. It's what I call a room, because it's what you're going to do with the money in that room, the tax-free saving, or the coronation, or the Investec, or the anchor, whatever it may be. You've got to drip feed that money into an investment. So when people say, I've done well out of Alan Gray, you haven't done well out of Alan Gray. Let me repeat that. Yes, you've been in a very sound platform, but it's what is your underlying investments in the Alan Gray portfolio, the room. What is your furniture? What funds are you in? Are you in local funds? Are you in a gold mine fund? Are you in resources? Are you in offshore? That will give you your return. And that's what will make that is determined. And you can't do that by yourself. I'll tell you why you can't. Because we all, when we see we're losing money, then very simply we lose confidence, we take losses. When you've got someone holding your hand, moving from a financial advisor, a financial nanny, to a financial psychologist who's saying, why are you getting nervous? Because the markets are down, because you appear to be losing. You said to me, this is a long-term investment. You said to me, I only need the money in 10 years' time. What are you worrying about in year 1, month 3? What are you worrying about? Just it gives you, and when markets are falling, because they all recover, if you look at all the events over the last 60 years, markets have fallen substantially, but they've all recovered. We saw what happened with Trump's time. We saw what happened just after COVID when Powell mentioned the high rates of interest in America. Markets will recover because you're not investing in a market. You're buying shares in a company. You're becoming a partner in Amazon or Nvidia or Tesla or Apple or any of those companies, and they're very sound businesses. And so, but there are times that they have hiccups. Every business has a hiccup. So you've just got to ride those times through.
I've got a question here from Mark in Durban. Says, hi, Cathy and Brian. Hope you're well. I have a government pension of 2 million rand at the moment. My current contribution is 12%. They do have higher percentages of 15 and 18%. The employer pays 18% at the moment, which is the maximum amount. Should I increase the amount to 15 or 18 from my side? I'm currently 39. And should I take out a retirement annuity?
Yeah, Mark, I always believe in having both. I believe having a retirement annuity and a pension fund because it gives you some flexibility at retirement. When you retire from a fund, you've either got to retire in full, take the 1/3 in cash, a pension. If you've got a retirement annuity, you can stagger retirement dates. So I would rather increase the increase you want to do, I would rather put it into retirement annuity. You've got to do it before the 28th of February to get the full tax deduction for the whole year, which means that you get, if you contribute, then you get the year's contribution off your taxable income. And I really believe a retirement annuity is the answer. There's nothing wrong with contributing more to the government pension fund. Bear in mind, when you retire, you have to make certain decisions. Are you going to move it to a living annuity? Are you going to leave it in the government? So you've got those decisions. But if you've got the flexibility of having both, at least you can say, I'll retire from the government pension fund, but as I grow older, I want to have more funds coming in, and I'll have the retirement fund. So I believe it's an and, not an if, or an or.
Okay. Another question here says, I have financed a car and got hit by a truck and the car was damaged. I lost my job. I couldn't pay for the car anymore and insurance didn't pay. The bank issued an abandonment letter for the car. It's been almost 2 years now. Can I still make arrangements with the bank?
Firstly, I'm flabbergasted why the insurance company didn't pay. Because if normally what happens, if you're financing a car, the bank insists either doing the insurance themselves or making sure that you have a policy of insurance covering that car, and certainly covering, because you've got a liability in the bank and you want to make sure that if something happens, that liability is covered. I don't know what's happened. You'll have to talk to your bank. What have they done? Where's the car? Has the car been sold? Have they, what has actually happened? So you need to talk to your bank.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in more questions for you, Brian.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to Dr. Brian. It's Fred the Tracker. My question is about title deeds. So I've got a house that I want to put in my children's names, all 4 of them. Is it possible to have a title deed with 4 names, or should I put it on a trust, or I don't know, how does it work? Because I want my kids to have rights on that house, all 4 of them.
I don't know the ages of your kids, but why would you want to put the house now into your kids' names in terms of a will that you'd have if they're under the age of 18? Then in terms of the will, that's when you could create what they call a testamentary trust, where in the event of your death, that property is transferred into the trust for the benefit of all 4 children. You can have all 4 on a title deed, but you've got to understand the different ages. You've also got to understand that kids, as they get older, have different objectives, different plans. So sometimes that becomes problematical, particularly with the trust, because everyone's got to agree, and if the trustees don't agree and one party wants to sell their share in the property, it becomes quite complicated. But I just don't understand why you would want to, in all, put it into a trust now or put it into the children's 4 names. Rather keep it in your name and have a will, and let the will in the will you'll determine what you want to happen. Is that the question you're actually asking me now? The will, whoever helps you draw up the will determine what happens to that property. Should it go into a trust? Should it go into all their names? Think about it. A kid with 4 kids who own a property, when will they ever reach an agreement of what they want to do with that property? Very much against that, because you leave potential problems. You have a happy home, happy children, and when you die, whilst you say I'm not ruling from the grave, you are, because you've set standards, you've set rules that are now having to be dealt with by all 4 children. And I don't need to tell you how children fall out because of that. Because remember, when you're selling a property, there's a seller and a buyer. When you're selling it, you want top price. When you're a buyer, you want bottom price. I certainly would leave it in your name.
So Brian, I think, just from some of the things that one has seen, Freddie might be approaching this from the role of equity and being fair to his children, that if each of them has the property in their names, then nobody's going to kick anybody out one day when he's not around. Nobody's going to bully somebody else out of that property. And we're seeing more and more contestations around wills. I don't know whether it's because people are not drawing their wills up properly, or they're not specifying clearly what must happen. And it is leading to these conflicts in families. So how would you advise that one circumvents that in perhaps a better way that doesn't include, leaving the property 50 to Brian, 50 to Cathy, and trust that you guys will figure it out? And if you take me to court, then I can equally take you to court.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between a will and an agreement. An agreement, 2 parties can go to court and fight about it. A will is absolutely entrenched in the powers given to the executor and ultimately the beneficiaries of that will. I hate the situation of leaving a property. I always say, I know it's real, it has to be done, because you leave your assets to your children equally. Let's say it's equally, and you leave it. But you leave complications, because you take a kid who's 12 now and a kid who's 20, and now in 8 years' time, the 12-year-old is 20 and the other one's 28, got different objectives, need different things, got married. You create all problems in that situation, where, particularly when it comes to property, because assets can be divided. All the other assets can be divided other than the fixed property. So you've got to think very carefully what you're doing. I often say when I'm drafting a will, when someone's got a property, if all 3 don't agree what's going to happen, the property must be sold and the proceeds distributed amongst the 3. And remember, you can't distribute assets to a minor under the age of 18. It would have to go into a trust. You don't want it involved with a guardian's fund, which is controlled by the master's office. That's the last thing you want to do. So I'm sharing with you, I understand that easier to put it in everyone's name. I think that's going to cause its own complications. One of them wants to live in the property, 3 don't want to live in the property. They now getting no benefit from the property. The one is living rent-free or paying a small amount. I think it causes all sorts of complications.
Preservation of the family home, Brian.
Preservation of the family. Preservation of the children in a relationship, preservation of the children who have children, that their cousins get on and they aren't fighting. I can tell you, unfortunately, I've had too much experience in my life. First comes on death, first comes the grief, then comes the greed.
I've never heard that before.
Then comes each one
Yeah.
has got different
Yeah.
objectives. And remember, many cases, older children, they have wives, they have children who have different plans compared to uncles and aunts. And I can't tell you how many fights I've had to deal with and mediate on that score.
First comes the grief, and then comes the greed. From our very own Brian Hirsch. Anonymous, you're in KZN. Good morning.
To you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask a question from Brian. If I want to invest 2 million, and then from the 2 million, because old age, I need interest per month, how much would be that at the present moment?
Well, at the moment, depending on your tax situation, on 2 million, I reckon if you invested it in a money market account, you wanted income, you'd probably get around about 12,000 Rand a month. That 12,000 Rand is taxable. If you went up one step, that takes you into income funds, where there's slightly different investments, then where there is a little bit of risk because interest rates do come down, bonds come down, where the property's got a little bit of equity, a little bit of property. I think you can rely a little bit more on probably 8.5% to 9%. And if you're getting 8.5% to, let's say you're getting 9% on that 2 million, you're getting 15,000 Rand a month. So now there's a question. What risk am I taking to get 15 as compared to 12? You need to understand there is a small amount of risk. It's not what we talk about risk tables, 1 being conservative, 5 being a little bit aggressive. I'd say that takes you from 1 to 2 in that pecking order. Number 2 being 1 being a bank money market account. Number 2 being income funds. All the companies offer these income plans where they have an element of cap bonds and interest rates and 1 or 2 other little investments in that fund where you're taking on some risk. So don't think it's like your medical aid. Don't think when you reduce your medical aid, there's a reason why a medical aid costs more than B. You've got to understand what is the difference. And when you're moving into income funds, Investec, Coronation, Anchor, Allan Gray, they all offer these funds. They've all achieved in the last 5 years an average of around about 9 to 10%, which is a bit higher than what money markets has averaged. Money markets have averaged about 8. So for that extra 2%, you're taking on a little bit of risk. And depending if you can afford to take that risk and understand it, that's your various choices. 12 to 15,000 Rand a month. Taxable. Remember, income is taxable, and so depending on your age, depending on what other assets you've got, what other investments you've got, will determine what strategy you go into.
Okay, we're going to continue in a moment. Let's take a quick break.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby, Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 1. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Talking Finance with Brian Hirsch, making sense of your finance.
All right, we continue talking finance with Brian Hirsch. Anonymous, you're still on the line. I understand you've got one last question for Brian.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Brian, is it good to invest in the banks, or does it have any company that you can suggest?
Okay, so is that...
Yes, he's still on the line.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize you were on the line. Good morning to you. Nice to hear your voice.
Yes,
a lot of the things
no
are,
problem.
as you know... Okay, very simply, you must shop around the banks. I mean, there are 6 or 7 banks that I would stick to. It's the 4 major banks, and then there's obviously Capitec, there's also... RMB, and there's Investec, and there are others as well. And just shop around and see what rate you'll get for that 2 million rands.
Yes.
But if you're looking to invest that 2 million rand and you want a little bit more action moving from category 1 to category 2, please do me a favor, speak to a financial advisor in your area. Speak to your bank. All the banks have financial advisors. Speak to them and ask them about income plans, and for them to understand, to explain to you what the risk associated with an income plan versus a money market account. Once you understand that we all are governed by FAIS, which is the Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services Act, which says we need to make sure that our clients fully understand, which is the knowledge that I've been talking about, fully understand what they're doing, what the risks are. So it's not just upside. So I've said you can get 12 to 15,000. What is the downside on that 15? What could you end up losing? You certainly won't lose your capital, but you could find that maybe for a year you don't get the 15, and it would have been better to be in a money market, all with hindsight. So go to the banks, shop around, see what rate they're prepared to pay you for 2 million. So it's a nice investment for a bank. So you can phone banks, you can email banks, and then get yourself a financial advisor to let them show you the differences. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, Anonymous.
Have a lovely day.
All the best. OJ, you're in Joburton. Good morning.
Good morning, man, and good morning to Brian as well.
Good morning to you, OJ.
Yes, I've got a question, Brian, for you. I'm a pensioner at the moment. I'm having a group life from my former employer, and I'm having a living annuity.
Right.
Is it necessary for me to make a will, whereas I've got I've selected my beneficiary on both those I'm saving.
Okay, and you have no other assets whatsoever?
No.
You don't own a car, you don't own a property, you don't have anything else?
No.
You don't, not a TV, not a pair of shoes?
No, it's only my clothes to cover my body.
Okay. All right. In the unique situation, that's the case. You don't need a will, but I don't like that ever. I don't like anyone not having a will. And again, we have Wills Week, and I discuss regularly about wills. But let me come back to what you're saying. Remember, the beneficiary under your pension fund, which includes the benefit and the life policy, are governed by Section 37C of the Pensions Act, which says when you nominate a beneficiary, it's not necessary the beneficiary that the trustees are going to acknowledge. Where you have any dependents that may be dependent on you in any way, they have a claim against the funds governed under a pension fund. So if it's very clear you have 2 children, no one can come forward and say, I was the beneficiary, OJ used to help me, and put a claim and delay the claim, because the trustees have an obligation, a legal obligation, to satisfy themselves that all the money is being paid to the correct person. Someone may have a slightly more need of that money, and they could get slightly higher, irrespective of your letter of wishes. So your pension fund, it's not a beneficiary, it is letter of wishes to the trustees to dispose of the assets as you've laid out, but they have an obligation to make sure that there are no other beneficiaries. And I don't need to tell you what's happened in South Africa over the years. Invariably, I've got a death claim at the moment where a son has turned up. He was left out of the will. This man did have a will. He says he's a beneficiary and he's claiming. So what's happening now? He has to prove to the trustees. It's now into its 10th month, because they have 12 months and sometimes it even go longer. So all I'm saying to you, are you married once? Have you got one set of children, or have you got more?
I've got 2 sets. The other sets are grown-ups. This is the first marriage. And then I've got 2 sets with my present partner.
Okay. And are any of your older children dependent on you in any way?
No.
Okay. Well, they could. You don't need a will, and you've got a letter of wishes. You've got your beneficiary are your 2 children and your second wife beneficiaries of the will, of the pension fund. Okay. Yes. So now the
not a pension fund. It's a living annuity.
Okay. Okay, sorry. On a living annuity, you can leave money to whoever you want. It's not governed by the Pension Fund Act. Sorry, I missed that living annuity. Living annuity, you can appoint anyone because it's no longer, it's now what we call a policy of insurance, providing you with those benefits, and you're not governed by Section 37C. So that's fine.
Okay. OJ, you need to tell us how you do it, hey? It's the best kind of life, right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
OJ, do you not even have a bank account?
No, it's from hand to mouth. I get my money there at the end of the month. I use it. Nothing left in a bank.
Okay.
All right, OJ.
Okay, well, on this situation, it would be very easy to wind up your estate. But this does not refer to 99.99% of South Africans.
OJ, I've never seen Brian quite so flawed. He can't believe. He can't believe what he's hearing. Thanks, OJ. We still wish you many more years of life, okay?
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Brian, I'm going to squeeze this one in. Says, Cathy, I had 6.7 million rand. I bought a life annuity hybrid fixed at 70%, 30%, and has 5% annual growth. I am 54, earning 47,600, just above from that investment. Preserved my provident fund. Can I still buy a retirement annuity?
You can buy a retirement annuity because your taxable income is 47,000 Rand a month. So that is what's taxable, and you're entitled to contribute up to a maximum of 27.5% of that 47,000, which is approximately 13,000 Rand a month. That'll be deductible as taxable income. But then I'm just wondering to myself, would I not rather maybe just reduce the funds I'm drawing from that? Although you're drawing 47,000 Rand a month, which is about 600,000 a year, just short of 600,000, 570,000. So you're drawing approximately from that 6.7 million, 8%. That's quite high. What did I mention the age?
54.
54. So you are drawing quite a high lot. I think I would, if I've got more money to set aside, I would just reduce my living annuity draw down to maybe 6%. Because if you want to,
Chairperson.
Good morning, Honourable.
Go ahead. Sorry, not sure what is happening there.
Okay,
Apologies.
So look, perhaps let me give you my number: 011 880 4888. Or you can send me a note on www.bhca.co.za. Let's take this offline because there are other questions I'd like to ask you rather than just giving you some advice which may be too quick.
You know, as Brian is just calculating those numbers, he's looking at me like I can help him. Nothing I can do, Brian. You are doing those calculations so quickly.
Well,
he's looking at my face to confirm if he's on the right track.
No, I can see on your face.
And I'm like, sir.
Lovey, when I look at you and we talk in numbers, your face becomes like a calculator. And I can just see the numbers.
Time for the latest news.
Thank you, Cathy. On the top stories, death toll in the Vaal Scholar crash revised to 12 and learner placement under pressure in the Western Cape. For SAFM News, I am Ondilambana and a very good morning. The Gauteng Department of Education says one of the learners who died in the tragic scholar transport crash in Vanderbilt Park yesterday has still not been identified. 12 learners lost their lives after the minibus taxi they were travelling in collided with a truck. Several other learners, as well as the driver of the taxi, were injured. Gauteng Department of Education spokesperson Steve Mabona says the department is continuing to work closely with affected families. He says the learners are from 7 different schools in the Vaal area.
Those that passed on, it's 12, and we have 1 unidentified child. Well, we are still trying to get those families that might have lost or they have a child that is missing. So the government mortuary is busy assisting all the parents to make sure that they finalize the process, and also the one that is identified. We are actually hopeful that the family will identify positively so that we then know on how we're going to be moving on in terms of the closure on this matter from the family perspective.
7 people have been gunned down overnight in 3 separate incidents in Cape Town. One of the victims was an off-duty police officer shot and killed in Brown's Farm near Philippi. 4 other people were killed at an informal dwelling in Ndabeni, while 2 others died near Kensington Cemetery. Over the weekend, 8 people were killed in a mass shooting in Philippi East. Police spokesperson Andre Trott says detectives are following up all leads.
The South African Police Service in the Western Cape strongly condemns the senseless and brutal acts of violence that claimed 4 lives in Maitland and 2 lives in Kensington during separate shooting incidents in the early hours of this morning. Our detectives are working tirelessly, following up on every lead to identify and apprehend those responsible. SAPS will not tolerate this level of violence and will pursue the perpetrators relentlessly with the full might of the law until they are brought to justice.
Free State Police have arrested 2 suspects following the brutal attack and kidnapping of a 72-year-old female farmer in Bultfontein. Police spokesperson Mohlahlana says the victim was allegedly attacked by a former employee and left unconscious in her vehicle along the Bultfontein-Worpstead Road. She was later discovered by a police officer and taken to hospital, where she has since been discharged. Karedi says 33-year-old suspect has been arrested for attempted murder and kidnapping, while the second suspect was found in possession of the victim's property. The suspects are expected to appear in the local magistrate's court soon.
The suspect reportedly struck the victim with a garden spade, causing her to lose consciousness. In a calculated move, the suspect placed the unconscious victim into her own vehicle and drove to a secluded location on the farm connecting Bultfontein and Worpstead. The victim's life was saved thanks to the vigilance of a police member. Early on Saturday morning, the member noticed a stationary vehicle but initially proceeded to his journey. Upon returning later that day and seeing the vehicle in the exact same position, grew suspicious and stopped to investigate. Inside the vehicle, he discovered the 72-year-old female victim still unconscious.
The Western Cape Education Department says learner placement remains under pressure after schools have reopened. The department has urged parents to ensure that learners report to school within 10 days, as unclaimed spaces will be allocated to others. Western Cape Education Department spokesperson Bruna Hammond says late placement processes and additional classroom plans are continuing across the province. Hammond says in some schools up to 50 learners have not arrived.
As of January the 7th, we've had approximately 4,700 grade 1 and 8 learners to place and a further 2,700 grade R learners. We have since made good progress in placing learners. However, we are also receiving a large amount of extremely late applications. So as we are placing learners, we are also receiving more learners, which makes it a moving target. The challenge with late applications is that we do not know how many we will still receive, where placement will be required, and for what grades, ages, and languages. The 10th school day is critical.
World leaders in government, business and civil society are meeting in Davos, Switzerland for this week's annual meeting being held under the theme A Spirit of Dialogue. Team South Africa, led by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, says the message they are taking to the world at this year's summit is more positive than last year. Brand SA chairperson Ipileng Silele is in Davos for the World Economic Forum and speaks of Team South Africa's mission.
Minister Godongwana is leading our delegation, and we are here to simply tell the world that we came here last year. We communicated where we are with regards to our national reforms. We are here this year to share the status of where we are, the good progress that we have made, and most importantly, to have proof points, particularly around infrastructure. As you know, and you might have noticed, the progress that Transnet is making. Also, Minister of Electricity is here with us, with the ESCOM team. They're also going to be talking about the reforms, the progress that they have made, and of course are busy meeting with investors, engaging with investors.
Recapping the top story, the Gauteng Department of Education says one of the learners who died in the tragic scholar transport crash in Vanderbilt Park yesterday has still not been identified. I am on Lambana for SFM News, headlines at 11:30.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby, Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 1. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Babilanoko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half, while Ezimnyama Ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Betway Premiership. Lesekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 1. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Mzansi Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner, who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in store on the nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute, Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Mane comes back in field, tries to strike from distance. Tolu! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
You are listening to The Full Circle,
a space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
There are routines we all love. Morning and night skincare routines, exercise routines, even new routines like meal prep, journaling, and chemo. That last one hit differently, didn't it? The truth is, over 99% of cervical cancer cases are linked to the human papillomavirus. So if you're a woman between 15 and 44, act now. Ask your healthcare provider about the HPV vaccine. This message was brought to you by MSD.
In a world of noise, one thing is still clear. Aquele. Introducing the new, still-flavored range from Aquele. Lemon mint, mango passion fruit, blueberry raspberry, peach apricot. Still made from Aquele's 100% natural spring water. Delicious, high in vitamins, low in kilojoules, and still full of joy. It's new, it's refreshing, it's flavored, it's still Aquele.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Now leave the SABC and see the tower block lit up, 27 stories of light. Move from Auckland Park into the shadow of the Hillbrow Post Office Tower.
This is the English service of the SABC. Here is the news read by Patricia Carr. A member of the Planning Committee of the President's Council, Mr. Nick Truernicht, has been appointed chairman of the Council's Community Relations Community.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're listening to The Talking Point. Welcome to the third and final hour of the show. We're going to be crossing live to the SAPS Ad Hoc Committee in Parliament. Today, we're hearing testimony from the former head of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, Robert McBride. Let's take you in as he's sworn in as a witness and begins his testimony.
Before that, we had some drafts, draft affidavits, so that you and honourable members could, in the meantime, familiarise yourself with the content. So we apologise for the late submission of the signed affidavit. As you will also see, there's a substantial bundle of annexures, we hope as evidence leaders we can make some sense of through the day. They are large, but selected pages or paragraphs will be referred to. So, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, I present to you Mr. McBride. Is willing and prepared to testify before you today. Thank you.
May we proceed to administer oath? May we proceed to administer
Yes, Honourable
oath?
Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning once again,
Thank you.
Mr. Robert McBride, and Mr. Warm welcome. The advocate Arens has confirmed that you have been here almost 2 hours earlier. Unfortunately, it happened the way it happened. But let me assure you, the remarks that we made are correct. But they must not unsettle you. But they must not affect your presentation. You must be in a very good spirit. And focus on the presentation that you have been called to make here. Before we administer oath, let me read the following to you that Mr. McBride, you have been invited to appear before this ad hoc committee, which investigates allegations that have been made by Lieutenant General Ntantla Mkhwanazi. You have been invited to provide information to help the ad hoc committee in its oversight work as it investigates these allegations, among others. One, the alleged unlawful disbandment of the political killings task team, otherwise known as the PKTT or NPKTT. Number two, alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services. Number three, alleged corrupt relationship between senior leadership within SAPS and members of the public. And lastly, political interference in the work of the SAPS. In extending this invitation to you, Mr. McBride, the ad hoc committee chairperson has indicated that you may provide such information to the committee if you so wish under oath in terms of the powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. Mr. McBride, please be informed that by law you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all the questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of this inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or the document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. Mr. McBride, you are, however, protected in that evidence given under oath or affirmation before a House or a Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Please be aware that in terms of Section 17, subsection 2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, a person who willfully furnishes a House or committee with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading commits an offense and is liable to a fine or an imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. Mr. McBride, you are required to take an oath or affirm that the evidence you are about to give is truthful. Which one do you elect, oath or affirmation?
Oath, sir.
You have elected oath, and may you please follow me as I dictate to you. You shall say I and state your names in full.
I, Robert John McBride,
swear that the evidence I shall give
swear that the evidence that I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
And so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much, Mr. McBride. And welcome, Honorable Nomvalo. In your absence, your fellow Honorable Member David Mantlakais Skosana has reported about the Senegalese victory over Morocco in the Africa Cup of Nations. Is that the mandate of the party?
I'm not sure about that.
Honorable Souls, welcome and good morning to you. Advocate Arens and Mr. Robert McBride, our witness, from this table, we have done the part that we should do. We are now going to move to the next phase of presentation of evidence. And then we are going to hand over to you and wish you good luck in the presentations. I will come back to the proceedings at 13 hours when I make an important announcement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. Good morning, Mr. McBride. We have discussed, just by way of meeting earlier this morning, the topics which you will address in your oral presentation today, which may not necessarily follow the same sequence that's in your written affidavit. Are you comfortable with that approach?
Yes, Chair.
So perhaps if we could kick off by way of introduction, your current employment?
I'm not allowed to say what my employment is.
Okay, but you still in the public service?
No, sir.
You're not in the
That
public
is an old CV that's there, yes.
Okay. Your CV is attached as RJM1, and you say that that's an outdated CV.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just by way of background, you mentioned you hold 2 bachelor's degrees. You also obtained a senior Bachelor of Technology, International Politics at UNISA, Technology at Swani, and you've also completed a number of certificated courses, and all that, or most of that, even in the outdated CV, it's recorded in that CV.
That's correct.
You also mentioned that you're a veteran of the liberation struggle, and that you've been recognized by the Minister of Defense in 2002, and you've a recipient of a number of awards, the most important being the award on conspicuous leadership, star, and the merit medal in silver.
That's correct.
Advocate Arendse, just a moment. I see the hand of Honorable James.
Chair, is te vroeg vir ons om so te begin. It's too early for us to be told that the CV is outdated. That means that we have a falsified statement in front of us. And we just continue like it's acceptable.
Okay. Can we take the input of Honorable Skosana?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted us to, as well, to start in a correct manner, Chair. I think the witness, Mr. McBride, he has to disclose to us, as he asked the evidence leader, currently, where is Mr. McBride employed? It can't be a secret, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
No, it's fine. Let's get back to the first question. Which CV is an old CV, Mr. McBride?
Sorry, the CV before the evidence leader said is an old CV. I couldn't locate a new one in the time frame that I had to submit it. Just on the issue of employment, if I am given permission to say where I am by my principals, I will say so. So I had raised this issue with the evidence leaders before, and I thought it was taken care of already.
Okay.
I think most people here know where I work.
Okay.
Yeah, but
No.
in order for me to say
let's not conflate issues. Let's take them. Deal with this issue by issue.
Yeah.
This CV was sent was sent to the evidence leaders by yourselves.
That's
by
correct.
yourself.
That's correct.
And you send it knowingly that it's an old CV.
And indeed, I told the evidence leaders it's an old CV.
So what is it that must be updated on that CV so that you can place it on record here? We can't argue about that. You can just update it here. Remember, you have taken oath now, isn't it?
Yes.
So any information you give us is under oath. If the CV says you did not pass matric and you have now passed matric, you update it here under oath.
Yeah. I understand, Chair. With reservations, I'll give you the answer. And
then we will come back to the second question, which Mr. Honorable Skosana has asked. Let's deal with the part of the CV which Honorable James has raised, because you said it here that it's an old CV. You could not locate your new CV, correct?
yes, indeed, I don't have a new CV. I also don't have my equipment. I didn't have legal assistance. I put it together on my own. It's only the evidence leaders who helped me. So I only sent forward what I had.
Yeah. But even if you don't have your equipments, for instance, now I know where I'm studying. If you ask me, I can't say the last time I passed matric was in 1992, and I don't remember anything that happened thereafter.
No, I remember exactly everything.
Yes, that's why we say we want you to update that CV. As the evidence leader, ask you questions, update the parts that must be updated. Because if you start by saying this is an old CV, you are rattling my members. You are unsettling them. Can we proceed that way?
I'm completely in your hands, Chair.
Okay. And then the second question that Honorable Skosana has raised to say, when the evidence leader asks you a question about your current employment, is there any law that prevents you from disclosing where you are currently employed?
Yes, sir, there is.
Can you state it here in front of this committee so that the honorable member may know that you are prepared to give us the answer, but there is a law that prevents you from saying that? You can just say, I'm employed, but in terms of the provisions of this law or this act of parliament, which you as honorable members have passed, I'm not allowed unless I have permission to disclose.
Yes, it's Act 39 of 1994.
Thank you so much.
Chair, that can be a correct citation of an act.
Yeah.
That can be a correct citation of an act. When you cite an act, you can't just say act what of this. What is the act? What is the actual citation of the act? Because what is saying about the number, what number is the act is, and which year was it enacted. But beyond that, Chair, even Google can tell you where he works.
It has a title.
It has a title, Chair. So, but beyond that, Chair, I don't know why should this information be withheld in Parliament, because you can even Google it. It's there. It's a public information where he's employed. So I don't understand this. Thank you.
No. He will state that act, and then each and every act has sections and subsections. You remember, Honorable Ngola, we referred him to Section 17, subsection 2 of the Powers, Immunities and Privileges Act of 2004. So he will also state that act and say, in terms of Section 3, subsection 5 of the act that I have referred to, you too, I am being forbidden or restricted to mentioning my employment. Honorable Ngola.
No, thanks, Chair. I think the last part I wanted to submit is that whilst you are starting, let's implore with the witness to stop doing those gestures he's doing. I noticed him when Honorable James was speaking. He's doing some funny gestures of laughing when someone is talking. If he wants us to have a very good day today, he must refrain from doing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Chair, can I respond?
What are you responding to?
The allegation about making some gestures. I made no gesture to anyone.
No. You see, you know, you must allow me to guide you so that you know what to respond to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The first part of the CV you have responded to, and the advocate will take you through. You will update the parts that you should update. And the second is with regard to Act 39 of 1994. Which act is that one? Act 39.
National Strategic Intelligence Act.
Yeah. Number 39 of 1994. In that act, which are the sections or subsections that prevent you from?
Within the regulations, it indicates we are forbidden to volunteer that we work for the agency.
Is regulations number 10 or number 6?
No, I don't remember. But I was just alerted that I should raise that with you now that I've mentioned it. Yeah. So that's where I work.
Within those regulations, is there a rule that prevents you from disclosing your place of work?
Yeah, in my experience in court cases, you require permission from the Director General in order to indicate, and usually there's an arrangement with the prosecutor that questions about where you work are not asked.
The question that I'm asking is whether there is a rule that prevents you from disclosing.
Yes, there is, and off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number.
Okay. Honorable Cameron, follow up.
Sorry, Chair. Just maybe for clarity, I might quote, the restriction on state security agency employees disclosing their roles is primarily rooted in the Intelligence Services Act of 2002, particularly through its regulations regarding confidentiality and the protection of identity. Thank you, Chair.
So it's not, what is the title of those regulations you have referred us to?
Chair, that's part of the Intelligence Services Act of 2002.
It's not the regulations, it's Act.
It's an act. I don't know the regulations, but that's what legislation says.
Oh, so you are helping the witness to quote the right legislation.
Actually aiming to help the committee, Chair. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Did you hear it, the witness?
Honorable Chair, yes, and I'm corrected about the specific number of the act. So I stand corrected.
Yeah. So you withdraw the statement that you earlier made about Act 39?
Chair,
or you are saying they must be read together?
I think all matters relating to intelligence should be read together.
Okay.
Always.
Okay. And then, yeah, you were prepared to respond to the matter that Honorable Ngola has raised with you. What is your response on that one?
I seek clarity, Chair, of what is the issues that make the honorable member unhappy.
Okay.
I'm not very clear to me. You spoke about gestures.
Yeah.
Since I came in, I've been holding this chair and not moving my hands.
Okay. Honorable Ngola, do you have
Thank you very much,
any
Chair.
clarity you want to make?
Chair, when Honorable James spoke about the issue relating to the CV of the witness, the witness was laughing. And gestures are not only made through hands. When I raised the issue of the citation of the act that is incorrect, he did the same.
Yeah.
So I wanted us to plead with him to refrain from that so that we have smooth proceedings today. Thank you so much, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Nomva.
No, Chair, I just wanted to confirm, firstly, I'm rising on two things. I wanted to confirm that the latter speaker is not hallucinating. We've made a similar observation. Here we must maintain the decorum. We're not being funny here. We're here to work as members of parliament. Maybe if I can put it in a different way, the witness was making funny reactions using his face. He did that twice. He did it with Honorable James. He did it with Honorable Ngola. So we can't leave it unchallenged because he will do it to me. And when he does it to me, there will be confrontations. So it must be stopped from the onset. That's not how we conduct business of these proceedings. But the second thing, Chair, that I want to raise is that we can't downplay what the witness has done to us as this committee. He voluntarily and he concedes to that incident here before us, submitted a wrong CV to the senior counsel. I was going to understand if maybe he was saying the CV was taken by the senior counsel from somebody else, not from him. He submitted a wrong CV, and for you to prepare the correct CV, you don't need a legal advice because a CV is your own product. You do your own CV. So to me, Chair, the excuse that the witness is giving here is not valid, is invalid, that he had no time, he had no gadgets. And he only tells us now when it has been picked up by one of the honorable members. He should have told this committee before he even spoke that there's an issue with my CV. So we were misled, we were made to read a wrong document as members of this committee because we read before we come here when we prepare for these interviews. So it's an issue that we can't take lightly because if we leave it unchallenged, it's going to be referred to as a precedent in future. There is a precedent that we made here as this committee. When Mr. Nkabinde was here, we turned him away because he came with defective documents. Now the same witness, now another witness in the same platform is saying, I gave you a wrong CV, and we just leave it like that. We brush it off as if it's an immaterial issue. So, Chair, what the witness has done to this committee must be condemned with the contempt it deserves. It's wrong. It's not done. He has misled this committee.
Honorable James.
Chairperson, also, the witness couldn't tell us where he works. I don't understand. When his appointment was public, he was publicly appointed as the director, let me help him, director for Foreign Branch of State Security Agency. It's all over. Why couldn't he answer that simple question? Thank you.
You said that the CV that was sent to the committee is an old CV. Correct.
Chair, in fact, I volunteered indicating it's an old CV. No one pointed it out to me.
That's what you said, that it's an old CV.
Indeed.
Yes. And there is nothing falsified in that old CV.
That's correct.
This is the CV that you used previously.
Indeed, Chair, and I didn't leave anything out in speaking to the evidence leaders.
Yeah.
I indicated my difficulty.
So the period between now and the last time that CV was written, there might have been other developments in your life which may not have been updated in that CV. Correct.
Indeed, Chair.
Okay. And then you say that the various pieces of legislation on intelligence read together, we may find a provision that prevents you from disclosing your employment.
Chair, indeed, but I think the horse has already bolted, and I think Honorable Cameron indicated the correct legislation, and I'm happy with that, sir.
Okay, and Honorable James has also disclosed the position to which you have been appointed to.
That is correct, sir, and I had indicated in volunteering the CV, indicating my dilemma about mentioning where I work. I indicated that most of the honorable members know it. It's public knowledge.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
but you are not allowed to mention it, even if it's public knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm not, but it has been mentioned now.
Yeah, I understand what you are saying. So, but you are willing to provide information on milestones that you might have achieved from the last time the CV was written.
Yes, sir. Every question, query, clarification on any aspect of my life, I will respond to accurately, including achievements.
For as long as there are no restrictions in law.
Indeed, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Matthys.
Chair, I think it must be noted, Mr. McBride is very indifferent here as he's sitting here before us. Even how he's sitting, we won't have to go back into the issue of the gestures he's been doing with his face. But the reason and the explanation of submitting to us an old CV and that he didn't have tools of the trade. You work for one of our agencies of government. Literally, it's not that the CV of yours is details and gives job description. So it was a matter of just filling in. A project manager from the Department of Public Works finished on which date, literally 3 or 4 lines. So it tells us, Chair, that Mr. McBride is not taking this committee serious. It's like he's just indifferent, he's just here, oh, you called me here. It's giving us the same Mary Diaz vibes, what we experienced when we started with Mary Diaz. And we're not going to tolerate that behavior. We can't start off on this note. So we are pleading with Mr. McBride, please take us serious here as Parliament. Do your work. You can't give, I mean, you should even feel embarrassed. You work for our whole state security agency as a whole director, and you even come here and you even just blatantly just say, oh, I didn't have time or I didn't have resources to update my CV and I gave my CV. Can we be taken serious as a country even? So please address that with Mr. McBride. I think it's very wrong on how you are treating, and it's not Parliament, it's the people of South Africa, Mr. McBride. You can't be in the position that you're in and you cannot even give us an updated CV. It's wrong. And even to address us in the manner that you did, it's wrong. So please, let us just move forward. Take this serious. You are talking to the people of South Africa through us. We are representatives. They voted for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Matthys. Honorable members, we are going to move forward in this way. Mr. McBride, members of Parliament have expressed their reservations on the gesticulations that you make in the proceedings, and it is my humble request to you that if there is any conduct that you displayed here which might have offended the members, without any debate, let's refrain from such conduct. Where I stand as the chairperson of the committee, we have not called you here to come and humiliate you. We have not called you here to come and sneer and jeer at you. It is not our intention to cast aspersion on your CV. We have called you here as a citizen of this country who has rights in terms of the Constitution and any other law to have a conversation with you. And I would like you to take this in a very good spirit. As and when we engage with you, there are observations that we will make, but we will always try and raise our observations with you in a manner very reasonable to you, so that when you leave this door after our engagements, you must still feel part of this country, and you must say, where I was meeting with the leadership of the people of South Africa. So the last part that Honorable Matthys has said, we all agree that the CV, by your own oral presentation, that the CV is an old CV. Listen to me, this proceedings are not about your CV. I have read you the terms of reference, what we are investigating, but let me tell you why that part is very important. It's because you must make us to believe that you are honestly giving us evidence that will help us. There must never be any shady corners. You must prove to us that you can be a credible witness before this committee. And we are not requesting you to be naked. We request transparency from you. If you can please be transparent without being naked, you are going to help us. So, Advocate Arend said to propel this meeting forward, we will give the witness a chance to do an oral update of the CV from from the last time that he wrote it, and then complete it. Because you have said that it's an old CV, but whatever details that are provided in that CV, I don't think you are going to change your date of birth. You are going to change your previous employment history. You just say, from the period where the CV ended up to now, I have been at the following institutions, or I have not been anywhere until I got a new appointment this year. Does it make sense, Mr. McBride?
Indeed, Chair. I just have a problem. I smile when I converse with someone quite easy.
That radiant smile is what we want in this. Look at how the chair is smiling. Look at me. Look at me. See, this is how we smile in this.
I can't help it.
Okay. No, good luck. Good luck, Advocate Arends and Mr. McBride. I know we have 2 days with you, but if it's possible for us to finish today, let's finish today, honorable members. Please. The year is still very long. We are still in January. Please. All the best.
Mr. McBride, may I proceed, Honourable Chair? Can I just confirm that with you that you did tell us during our consultation with you was towards the end of last year, I think? Our consultation with you, the first consultation, I think it was towards the end of last year. But then, because we normally record our consultations with witnesses with their consent, and when it came to that issue, you told us, but then you asked us to switch off the machine. So it's not even in the transcribed notes of that meeting. Did I ever ask you for your CV? And that's why I asked whether you were still employed in the public service, because it indicates you're under employment history from 2019 to present. Project Manager, Department of Public Service and Administration. Now that, according to you, is not the up-to-date employment history. Is there anything else in that CV from pages 33 to 35 which you wish to update and which you are not precluded from doing by any legislation or anything? It's on page 33, or are your pages paginated, Mr. McBride?
Yes, sir. Indeed.
33 to 35. Is there anything else in there that you wish to omit or to include, or is it just that one aspect which is not entirely accurate?
So, before being employed by the State Security Agency, I worked for public enterprises investigating corruption within state-owned entities. And to add that, as Honorable Matei spoke, I'm no longer a director in the service. I run special projects.
So, with you and Honorable Cameron referring to intelligence legislation, is the effect of all of that you are employed in the intelligence services?
That's correct, Chair.
So when you say from 2019 to present, when did you stop being project manager in the Department of Public Service and Administration?
In 2020.
2020.
2020, about March.
Okay.
About March, yeah.
So what is missing is this? Can we just get absolute clarity on this, or certainty?
Yeah.
Is the only thing missing from your CV your employment status from March 2020 to date?
No, from 2020 March until July 2020. That is the public enterprises.
Yeah, when you were investigating SOEs?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, is that in the intelligence?
That's when I went into the intelligence community,
Okay.
yes, formally.
Okay. Can I request that we get an updated CV from you, please, if not by the conclusion of the evidence, shortly after, for the record?
Indeed, no problem.
Is that the only omission from this CV?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I was going to come to this, not because of your CV, but I'm sure the honorable committee members would also have noticed that your CV and this statement is silent on the period between 2008, when you were last the executive head of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police, and then on 3rd March 2014, when you took office as the executive director and accounting officer of IPID, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. Explain to us what that gap.
Yeah, so I was in private sector. I had my own company, but I would work as a resource person in the subcommittee of the NEC of the ANC dealing with public safety issues. And I would assist with policy formulation. It's during this period I was invited to apply for the executive director post of IPID.
Okay. So between 2008 2014, you were employed in the private sector.
That's correct.
Okay. Then you had also been released from, you served time in prison.
That's correct. Yes.
And you were released, and between 1992 and 1994, you were employed by the African National Congress as a coordinator at the ANC Peace Desk in Gauteng. You then subsequently, 94, 95, also became an MPL, member of the provincial, Gauteng Provincial Legislature. And then subsequently...
sorry, Chair, just one issue. In 1995, I became a member of the National Assembly for a few months, and then I went into the civil service in the then DFA Dirko.
Let's get the microphone closer to your mouth. The closer you get, the better.
Okay.
In June 95 until October 95, you were appointed as the head of the DIA committee, which was tasked with negotiating and coordinating the integration of the ANC overseas trained officials into the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Yes, that's correct.
And between 95 and 2003, you also held a number of positions within DIRCO, that's the Department of effectively Foreign Affairs, and you became a director for the Southeast Asia office in Pretoria.
That's correct.
Then in 2003 to 2008, that's almost 5 years, you were appointed as the executive head of Kuruweni Metro Police.
That's correct.
Until 2008. Just as a matter of interest, during that period, did you come to know or encounter Julius Mkonazi?
Yes, whilst I was at Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, Mr. Mkonazi, I think his rank was superintendent, and he dealt with public order policing. He was the head of the specialized services public order policing. It was a platoon size, about 32 people. And he was operationally deployed. So he would head it whenever there's a disturbance, then they would deal with it.
Okay. But that was within the Metro Police, fell under Metro Police.
That's correct, yes.
Doesn't have police powers under the SAPS Act.
No, the Metro Police is established due to the SAPS Act, is born out of the SAPS Act. So powers are then devolved to it by the national minister, and training standards are prescribed by the national commissioner.
All right. All right, we'll ask Mr. Mkonazi a bit more about that. Then on the 3rd of March 2014, you took office as the Executive Director and Accounting Officer of IPID, the Independent Police Investigative Director. How did that come about? Was that a job that was advertised? Did you have to apply? What were the procedures that were followed?
Yes, there was an application. We applied. We had interviews. I don't remember the other interviewees. We were kept in separate rooms. I think on the panel was Minister Mtetwa and Minister Tuele, and I think there was an official from State Security, Sonto Kujo, and someone from HR of the police department, the SAPS department, yeah.
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarity from our witness, Mr. McBride. I think, if I heard well, He said that he served in this parliament shortly before he left. You said that you served shortly here in the National Assembly, am I right?
That's correct, yes.
So hence, Chair, the issue of a CV, we have to go back to it. Because on the CV, there's nothing like that. It only the one which I know that you serve in the provincial government in Gauteng. But the issue of the National Assembly, on this CV, there's nothing. Unless, Chair, you say that we will perhaps after lunch, go back to this issue of the CV. Because I can tell you now, Chair, we are having something which it's completely wrong before us. Hence, I'm saying other people don't. I mean, us as sitting here. I know that Mr. McBride served between 1994, after the democratic elections in this country. He was in the Gauteng legislature. It's here. Even if he served for a day here in the National Assembly, but he was supposed to be here. But it's your decision, Chair. But I was just raising that perhaps this CV has to be rectified, because otherwise we're going to mislead ourselves here. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you, Chair. Sawubona, Chair, and my members. Mr. McBride, how is it? Just clarity here. I don't know whether, while I'm still contemplating with accepting the CV or not, you say you were a member of parliament. Which party were you in at that time? And did you resign before you got employed in the government?
I was a member of the ANC.
Still a member of ANC?
I'm a member of the ANC, yes.
Thank you very much. May the record keep that, Chair. That ANC members are working or worked in the head of State's department.
The part that you were here in the National Assembly, does it reflect on your CV, or is Honorable Skosana correct that that part is missing in your CV?
No, it's correct that it's not reflected on my CV. And I was there for a very short while, for 5 months or so, before I was tasked to deal with the integration. So perhaps I should have included a short period, yeah. I was sworn in. Yeah,
you have been here in Parliament.
Yes, sir.
In the National Assembly.
That's correct.
Yeah, that part must be in your CV.
Okay, sir.
Especially that it is not a part that falls outside the period that you say had to be outdated. I mean, it had to be updated. It falls within the period which by now was supposed to be reflecting in your CV. Yeah. So I'm going to say that, like I said, honorable members, let's have focus. We are going to allow the advocate to continue with the proceedings, because we want to deal with evidence that you must present here. And that part of the CV, sometimes between today and tomorrow before you leave here, we must be having a detailed CV that is up to date. Is that correct, Mr. McBride?
Understood, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. So, when you were appointed as the head of IPID, you describe, can I ask you to look at paragraph 34 of your affidavit. Just give us a brief overview of IPID.
So I have it. So IPID provides independent and investigative oversight over the South African police services and municipal police services. Its independence is entrenched in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and it is essential to ensure lawful function of police services in South Africa.
Who was the Minister of Police at the time of your appointment?
It was the late Minister Natim Tetwa.
Then at paragraph 36, you say that it is under your leadership that IPID for the first time took on corruption and systemic corruption within SAPS. Do you want to expand on that?
Yes, sir, indeed. It was the first time it was taken on. In fact, at the end of my tenure, there was between 8 and 13 generals and about 10 brigadiers of senior police officers who were on trial for corruption. Never been done before. Should have been a national emergency. And no new cases since I left IPID have been taken up again, which involves systemic corruption and corruption.
Now, you also mention, and it's apparent from from our consultation and from the documents or documentary evidence that you've submitted from our annexure and exhibit bundle, that much of what you're going to say has been ventilated in public and in various litigious matters here before Parliament, and also the Zondo Commission.
That's correct.
Your affidavit before the Zondo Commission is at RJM 4, Annexure RJM 4, which is dated the 13th of February 2019, and which is at pages 120 to 152.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. Then can I take you to page 123? We're still dealing with your appointment.
I have it.
And paragraph 18.
I have it, yes.
Now, just prior to your appointment, this is at paragraph 16, and unknown to you, on 22 January 2014, you commenced your employment in March 2014. Is that right?
3rd of March 2014, yes.
Yeah. IPID had issued a progress report on the so-called rendition case. In this matter, it was alleged that Generals Dramat and Sabia were implicated in the planning and execution of the 2010 operation that led to the illegal repatriation of 5 Zimbabweans. In this progress report, it was recommended that Dramat and Sabia be criminally charged with kidnapping and defeating the ends of justice.
Yes, indeed, sir.
And then at paragraph 18, you want to read from paragraph 18?
Upon my appointment, I asked to be briefed on all high-profile cases One of the cases I was briefed on was the rendition case mentioned above in paragraph 16. After the briefing, it became clear to me that the investigation had not been conducted independently and impartially in line with the IPID Act. This was because members of SAP's crime intelligence had conducted the investigation and had presented their case file to IPID. In the case file, there were some statements that appeared to implicate Ramat and Sibia. I was not satisfied with this, as CI do not have an investigative function, and this smacked of an attempt by CI to present their work as work of an independent IPID.
So, in your affidavit before Judge Zondo, you deal with the issue of Generals Ramat and Sibia from paragraph 19 and at paragraph 22, which is on page 124 of the same document.
Yes, yes.
You refer to 21 rather. On 18 March 2014, IPID issued a final report to the National Director of Public Prosecutions on this matter, which effectively exonerated Ramat and Sibia. The findings and the recommendations in this report were based on a thorough review of all the available evidence and additional evidence gathered by IPID. The final IPID report that I later issued later contradicted the position of the then Minister of Police, the late Honorable Mhleko. Sorry, not Mteto. Who stated, Minister Mhleko, who stated that IPID recommended that Ramat and Sibia be criminally charged with kidnapping and defeating the ends of justice. So you took issue with that. Do you want to?
The key element of the difference in the two reports was that the first report could not have been finalized because cell phone record analysis report was not added to it or factored in. Point being, the cell phone analysis report could either implicate further or exonerate. It was not factored in. So on reflection and on study of the report, which had not been added initially, it was clear that General Sibia was not anywhere near the scene of crime, and it appeared to be a stitch-up. He was getting framed for a case he had nothing to do with. In fact, the people making statements against him were the very people who, together with one of the DPCI guys, handed the people over unprocedurally, irregularly, to Zimbabwean authorities.
Your affidavit and other supporting affidavits and other reports also formed part of the court record in a matter I want to refer to RJM7 on page 288. That is a High Court judgment of Madam Justice Cathy Mohlahlana.
Yes, I have it.
It was a judgment delivered on the 4th of December 2015. As indicated in the head note of the reported judgment on page 288, the learned judge says this application concerns the independence of IPID, which is a statutory body established to investigate alleged misconduct and offences, including corruption committed by South African Police Service. Central to the question of IPID's independence is whether certain aspects of the legislative machinery regulating IPID afforded independence required by the Constitution. Then there's a reference in paragraph number 2 that when you took office. You became responsible for a publicly controversial IPID investigation into the alleged involvement of Lieutenant General Dramat, the then Director of Priority Crimes Investigation, DPCI, Major General Sabia, the provincial head of DPCI. Then is a short recordal of how the investigation panned out. She says that Advocate Mosing of the NPA was responsible for overseeing the investigation, that's the IPID investigation, IPID sent Mosing an investigation report dated 22 January 2014. That's the January report, that's the first report.
Yes, indeed.
That's what is called the Cuba report.
Yes, yes.
The report, which was signed by Kubeka, concluded that Dramat and Sabia were involved in the illegal renditions and recommended that they be criminally charged with kidnapping and defeating the ends of justice. A subsequent and final investigation report on the matter, dated 18 March 2014, was signed by Kubeka, Mr. Matthew Sissoko, Chief Director, and McBride, and submitted to the NDPP on 13 April 2015 for a decision on prosecution. The report concluded that there was no evidence to suggest that Sabia and Dramat were involved in the illegal rendition of the Zimbabweans and recommended that no charges be brought against them.
So the only correction is that the report is finished the 18th of March, but I signed it before handing it over to Ngasana on the 9th of April.
Okay. I was just reading from
Yes, sir.
the judgment.
Yeah, no, I just mentioned it for completeness.
Yeah. So,
Lest it may appear that I might be omitting things.
As long as it's not intentional or intended to mislead,
No, definitely
we
not.
all suffer from that fault line. Then this goes on to say that the Minister of Police, who is the first respondent in this application, had serious concerns with the recommendations in the March report. That's the final report.
Yes.
In relation to Dramat and Sabia, as they were inconsistent with the recommendations of the January report. Relying on the January report, an investigation which he had commissioned Waxman's attorneys to conduct on the production of the two investigation reports, the minister initiated a suspension proceeding against McBride for alleged misconduct and placed him on precautionary suspension on 24 March 2015, just after a year after he took office. Then the learned judge references the powers or the statutory powers on which the then minister relied. You received a notice to attend a disciplinary inquiry, including a charge sheet. Then she goes on to say, in instituting the disciplinary inquiry, this is on page 289, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, at the top, the Minister relied on the